Good morning. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. So glad to be here with you today. If you are watching me in the live stream right now, we do the live streams every Monday from 11 to 11:30 Central US time. And I'm Soul Coach Michelle, your friendly neighborhood super woo and manifesting coach. And I'm here to help you manifest your dreams, get those vibes going in the right direction so you can start being the magnet for all the things you want. Okay, so first things first, before we get started, real quick, I haven't really promoted it too much except on my mailing list, but coming in March is another Reconnect, Align, and Manifest workshop that is free. So if you have not been to that one that we did in January, would love to have you at the one in March. The link is down in the blurby thing below. It's free. If you are new to me and you want to kind of check out how I manifest stuff, the way that I suggest it's a little bit different, whole lot of spirituality, whole lot of practicality, and a whole lot less glitter covered bullshit. So if that sounds like you, go down to the link for the complimentary 7-day free mini course to check that out and see what it's like working with me. In addition to hanging out here, I'm feeling a little spacey today, so I know there's like incoming message from the channel. So like the stuff that I was just typing up, which I'm trying to pull up on my iPad, so I have my notes that we're going to talk about. It's so funny because I was just talking about this to a friend of mine and to the man this morning about how our IBSC can be a bit of a ninja. Like a lot of times we know where our blocks are. Like you know them, but you don't want to deal with them. And that's cool. I mean, as long as we're honest about it. Or you know what they are and you do work through them and you process and you move on and to the next thing, the next onion layer. But sometimes they're not as obvious, which is weird. So, like, I mean, in general, we've had such shifts in the last 2 years that, you know, we may not see that the stuff that worked for us years ago that really was like our way of thinking about ourselves, our way of navigating any of those blocks, any of that stuff. If we're noticing things are not working, we're not manifesting stuff. We're not getting further down the road because we're like, oh my gosh, it's Lunar New Year. I mean, that happened last week. So we ought to be moving in a direction that feels like we have some traction. But I don't know about you, but the fact is that in some spaces, like in my business, I felt like every time I open my eyes and I look around for expansion, it's there. But like personally, it felt kind of stagnant. So, and I know other people, it might be the other way around. Um, but it was really interesting because, and I said this to my my man earlier today, and I shared it with some of my sister woos that I've been had a weight challenge my whole life. I've been thin, I've been heavy. It doesn't matter, curvy, skinny, whatever. But for whatever reason, I in my head thought I was carrying around 30 more pounds, and for the last 6 or 8 months, I haven't gotten on the scale mostly because I thought I was carrying around this 30 pounds up here. And the reason I know it's up here is because this morning I got on the scale and I was nowhere near what I thought I was. In fact, I was 30 pounds less. I mean, that's a huge, I mean, think of it in terms of butter. When you go buy a pound of butter to keep 30 of those up here. Now, how much, honestly, when you think about it, how much extra weight, whether it is physically, like in our IBSC, or, about how we're living our life, how we are, approaching our businesses or our careers, how much ick is like ninja IBSC, the ninja ick that's clogging up our vision for ourselves. Because if thoughts become things, the thing is, I had to realize that wasn't there in the physical to sit down and make some choices that have been lingering for a very long time. and realize, oh my gosh, that's not really there. Hey, good morning. If you're here, say hello. I'm going to turn the comments on over here. So if you're here live streaming with me, if you're on YouTube, the comments are over here. And if you're watching the replay, they're down here. And for Facebook, live or replay is underneath. So go ahead and say hello if you're here. And for whatever reason, sometimes Facebook lets me say comments and sometimes it does not. So if I don't say hi back, please don't hate me. I will come and visit you in the comments. But, anyways, what I'm trying to get at here is, it's almost like that story with the two monks. And I think I've shared it before. I know I've shared it with my clients. So if you've worked with me before, you probably heard this. But the story of the two monks, they're walking along, there's an older monk and a younger monk, and they're walking back to their Buddhist temple, and they're just la 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 la, right? They come across this lake, or rather this river, and there's a young, beautiful gal standing there, and the older monk says, how do I help you? What's going on? You look perplexed. And she says, oh, I can't swim, so I can't get across the river, and I got to get home, and the bridge is out, and la la la. And the older monk's like, no worries, no worries. Here, you climb on my back, I'll carry you across, because we got to go over that way too. And so they go, and the young monk is just mortified, and he's looking at him like, what are you doing? And then they get to the other side. Older monk puts the gal down. She thanks him. He says, no problem. And they go their separate ways. They get to the monastery, and the younger monk is just stewing away. And the older monk looks at him and goes, what is your problem, man? You've been in like a total funk since we left the creek. It's been a while. It's been like a day and a half. What's going on with you? And he goes, I cannot believe you. We took a vow never to touch women because we're monks and that's not something we do. And I can't believe you carried that woman across the river. And the older one looks at him and goes, oh, no, no. He goes, look, I may have carried her across the river, but you've been carrying her all the way back here for the last 2 days up here. Do you see how the thought can become a thing? So if I made it real for myself that I was carrying around all this extra weight, when actually this morning I made a decision yesterday. I was like, you know what? Spirit is telling me I need more water. And this was so funny. So here's my water. First of all, 64 ounces, you guys. You can drink this whole thing today, plus more. And the funny thing is, so I got on there and it said I was 30 pounds less. I'm not going to tell you the numbers because no. But that made me start thinking, what else have I been telling stories to myself about? This is something I want to bring up to you guys, because here's the deal. We tell ourselves stories of shit all the time. We always tell ourselves shit stories. Whenever there's something coming up that we know might have an impact on our life, whether it's a job interview, or if you work for yourself, a client, chat, or maybe a doctor's appointment, or something like a family event, or, you're going out for a first date or something, so we tell all of ourselves these stories, and they might be, at first, they might be like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And then a lot of times what happens is, but what if this happens? But what if that happens? But what if this happens? And we always kind of deteriorate into this like thought process of, well, what if this happens? And it's not usually like, what if the best happens? Unless you can really be mindful to get into that mode. But a lot of times it's like all these, first of all, we get to the worry, and then we try to control the worry. And what if this happens? And this is how I can deal with this outcome, and blah, 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 blah. You can't do that, because then it's just more stories that then become beliefs, because a belief is just a thought you think over and over again. So all these years, or actually years since 2019, we all went into, the whole like quarantine pounds. It was like if you went to college, you get the freshman 15. It was like the pandemic pounds. And I was carrying around these pounds till I put them down yesterday because it was all in my head. So my question to you is going to be more about what is going on in your head, because we hit the Lunar New Year, last week, right? And so we all kind of got that awesome burst of energy into what? So we think, okay, I'm going to get back to doing this. It's almost like New Year's, where you kind of say, I'm going to work out more, I'm going to meditate more, I'm going to be out in nature more, I'm going to put wherever the rubber meets the road. but it was still this little bit of confusion, telling yourself of going back to these old tools. Now, back in the day, 2 years ago, they may have been great tools. They may have been the perfect tools for who you were all those years ago. But now, what if those tools, your go tos, are the things that when we talk about what doesn't serve you anymore, what if those tools don't serve you and you need to come at it from a new perspective with new tools? Because here's the deal, you're not who you were when you use those tools. There's all this perspective of, I need to um, get back to where I was 2 years ago, as far as like what you were doing, because you're not who you were 2 years ago, but I got to get back to what I was doing, whether it's eating healthy or looking for a new gig or starting that business or doing whatever you were doing. I need to get back to that place. But the fact is, you're not starting from nothing. You're starting from experience and you're starting from a new version of you. So maybe the first thing you need to do is get back to reconnecting with who you are now, this version of you. And then instead of immediately going and trying to find a tool, if you can reconnect with who you are now, that's when you can kind of look in your toolbox and start of sort. What do I need to get rid of? What do I need to polish up? And maybe what is something I need that's new? This is why, I started the manifesting mentorship, was because, yeah, I have the 7 step mini course, which actually was a full blown program back in the day. But now, what's been revealed to me in the last 2 years is that's a practice. When you go through those 7 steps, you might not do all of them in one day, but over the course of a week, you're going to hit each of those a lot of times. So, if you're going to go and do that and learn that as a daily or weekly practice, we incorporate into ourselves. And then I expand it into this like whole new idea of ask, believe, receive. So, my question to you is, who are you now as opposed to where are you now? And instead of saying, I'm going to get back to where I was, I would encourage you to say, I'm going to get back to who I am. Who am I? And what tools do I need to support the goals for me? So if I know who I am, I can set my new goals, because that's the other thing. You might be trying to manifest stuff and stuff isn't manifesting because you are not reconnected to the you of now, and you're still trying to get to goals you had all these years ago. So this was really interesting because I was watching a YouTube video. I love me some Matthew Broderick and Sarah Jessica Parker. I mean, they are the Gen X couple of forever, because like Square Pegs meets Ferris Bueller, hello, duh. Well, anyways, they both are these Broadway powerhouses. So before they were even on the TV or in the John Hughes movies, they were on Broadway, like when they were wee little bits. And now they're back on Broadway. And it was interesting because the whole thing was about how, and it's again, one more sign that this is what I'm supposed to talk about today. It's how they had opened the show they were going to open on Broadway. They'd started off Broadway in Boston to run as like test shows to see, is this going to work? And so they were all excited, open to rave reviews. The whole Boston run got like amazing reviews. And then literally the day before they were supposed to open on Broadway, they were in their final dress rehearsal, and the governor sent out the thing that said, y'all need to go home. You got X out, you got 2 hours to get your shit and get to the house and lock down in 2020 in March. And this past week, they're back in the theater. And it was so interesting because all of their stuff, their costuming, their sets, everything was still exactly where they had left it 2 years ago. But she was talking about how, there was all this energy and the synergy that happened back then. And she even said, I hope it's still there. I feel like it'll still be there, and we'll probably have to get back into a group. She goes, but none of us are the same people that are showing up to do the show now that we were. It might physically be the same people, but we might need to see, how do we interact with each other now? Will we have that same energy, or are we going to need to renovate somewhere? Are we going to need to relook at things and make sure everything is going to make that same great energy or better with this show? And that's the same thing for you. You might be coming back and you might look at everything. Everything in my closet's the same. Might need to go to the Old Navy sale. Everything in my home, for the most part, I may be better at baking bread at this point, but you know what I'm saying? Things may look like they did when you left them, but the inside, the energy is going to be different because you're not the same. So that means our tools, our goals, all of that stuff as we head into this new year, because we're only about what, 21 days into February. So only a smidge into this new year, only 21 days into the lunar new year, which is that kind of jumping off point energy wise. And we got about, I don't know, 10 more days of this whole kind of like trying to get reconnected thing going on. So, from that perspective, what I'm going to encourage you to do this week is reconnect with you. Again, I have the Reconnect Align Manifest workshop that you can sign up for. It happens in March, mostly because I want y'all to kind of think on this yourself and then jump into that. So it's free. You're more than welcome to sign up right here below to do that kind of reconnection work if that's something. If you joined me for the January one, don't worry. Yes, the exercise will be similar, but I tell you, every time you do it, it's going to come out different because you're not the same person as last time. So each quarter we do this, you're going to have different stuff pop up for you. And you might get better at getting more self aware and realigned and all of that business. So, what do we need to know? We can ask spirit, what do we need to know about getting reconnected here? What kind of animal medicine? Because we're going to use my favorite deck, the spirit animal cards. And the link for these is below if you don't have these yet, because they're awesome and glorious and the artwork is just beautiful. But anyways, what do we need to know to support us as we reconnect with self through this kind of lunar process that's going on right now, that's going to bring us back to not where we were before, but where we need to be now with who we are. So what do we need to know for that? So with that framework, let's pull some cards. Okay, so you're first. I love when they show up upside down because it's so funny because we're talking about what we don't know. What do we need to know that we don't know, kind of a thing, right? Uh-huh. Oh, wombat, he's so cute. Oh my gosh. And this one is here. Okay. Oh, turkey. My favorite time of year, turkey. Okay, so interesting. Hummingbird spirit in reverse. And reverse, if you're new to the oracle cards, reverse to me when I do readings is I didn't know that, I forgot that I knew that, or I know that and I don't want to. So this one, hummingbird, is be here now. Be in the moment. It is safe for you to be in this moment because the hummingbird is always moving so quickly, but is always super present. So the way that we can figure out who are we and reconnect to who we are in this moment instead of trying to be the person we were beforehand is to be in the moment. How do you do that? How do we reconnect? We might do 4 square breathing. We might meditate for 20 minutes. I love my new earth mat that I got. That thing is awesome. If you want me to share that information with you, just comment below and I can talk about that at some point because we do this. It's so funny. At first I started the grounding mat, and then I have Darren and I do it before we go to bed. We sit with our feet on the grounding mat. We sleep like babies. When the dog has anxiety moments before a thunderstorm, I throw him on the mat and he's good. That sucker is such a great tool for being quiet and getting your energy balanced so you can be in the moment. So meditation, any sort of art, whether it be coloring or painting or music, um, where you're singing or making the music yourself, um, any of that kind of stuff can keep you in the present moment, walking in nature, but being here for yourself. That's the other thing. It's not being present in just the thing there, being present for yourself as you travel this journey, as well as um, when we talk about meditation, I want to be really clear. It's not about not having any thoughts. It's about becoming more aware of your thoughts. So yeah, you go into meditation and you focus on the in breath and the out breath, right? But a lot of people are like, it's got to be about mindfulness. You're not supposed to have a thought. Well, if you didn't have a thought, you'd be dead. So let's throw that out as right now. And the fact is that mindfulness is great, but you can be mindful in many different ways. But if you're in meditation, Doing meditation is about reconnecting with self, becoming aware of your thoughts. That's the process. So, being here now, being present for self in this moment helps you reconnect with who you are and that version of you that's showing up so that you can connect your goals, you can connect your activities, you can connect um, the stuff you eat. You can connect all kinds of things with the version of you who you are now because you're ready for that next step when you know who you are and the goals that you set, okay? Now, it's funny, be at home. These are really interesting. So, be here now is being present and aware in the mind. Being at home is embodiment. So, we have Wombat. Isn't he adorable? He's so cute. You'd never think that they'd like tear your face off because, like, they're so super cute. But, wombats are be at home. They also like to burrow in the ground and be in their little dens. So be at home, not so much like I think everybody like, be at home. We've been at home forever. I just want to get the hell out of here and go to out into the world. But be at home is more about embodiment. Okay. So when you finally are in your present moment, the way that we're going to support being present is embodiment. So embodying who you are now, figuring out how can I get this into here? It might be movement, it might be journaling, it might be a combination of both. I highly recommend both. It might be just kind of, you know, and it could be any movement. It could be yoga, it could be dancing, it could be singing. Embodiment is when you take your thought and you turn it into the wisdom of emotion in a way that's not triggering. Okay. And so we're going to embody being present. So that might mean the act of meditation, the act of yoga, the act of walking, the act of dancing, that whole being creative in your wholeness. And then it's so funny, turkey, right side up, giving gratitude and grace. So being thankful, saying, I'm so glad I showed up to this video today. I am so glad that I did my journaling today. I am so glad that I did my mindset work today. I am so glad that I went for my walk or I played with my dog in present moment. He's over here looking at his paws, so I'm not going to show you. Um, and giving yourself grace that maybe you didn't get to do all the things that were on your to-do list to embody today. Life happens. Giving yourself that grace. But then also, when you do get everything on your list, giving yourself some credit. That's also grace. Saying, I did it. It's okay to give yourself credit. That's grace. So I love how this is all about mind, body, spirit, gratitude, and grace. So we have, over here is the being present, the doing the mind work so that you can get aligned and reconnect with your soulful level. Doing the embodiment work to make sure that the mind and the body are connected. And then grace and gratitude for when you do it. Always remember credit where credit is due and grace, forgiveness if you don't get to everything. It doesn't help at all to beat yourself up about anything. So that's our message for this week. So, where are you connected? Who are you now? So, this week, maybe those journal prompts are, what do I need to? I need to sit down and meditate. So, and maybe the journal prompt isn't so much the journal prompt, it's more like activity prompt. Give myself 10 minutes on the insight timer for whatever meditation you like. Or there's tons on YouTube. Maybe sitting down and saying to yourself, where can I give myself credit and where can I give myself some grace? And who am I right now? What do I believe? What do I love? And where do I want to see that show up in my life? Okay, so that's for this week. Again, if you want to join me for the Reconnect Align Manifest workshop that's happening in March, the link for a free registration is below. Also, the 7-day course, if you want to check out how I teach manifesting, it's the practice of the 7 steps. That is also a free course below. If you want to sit down one-on-one and do some, either get some clarity, have conversation about clarity, or get your manifesting mojo back, see what happened and what we need to do to fix it, those conversations, links to set those up are below. Those are for one-off coaching sessions. And other than that, I would love to hear from you. Oh, let's see. We got one. I got a comment. Hey, Mary Jo, how are you? It's been so long. Love seeing you with your hair down. Such a beautiful. Well, thank you. I did just get it done on Friday, to get rid of the grays. But yes, and plus, since it's not like June yet, and we're still in that no humidity mode here in Nashville, so I can wear it down and it doesn't look like Rosanna Dana, if you remember who she is, or the chick from Dilbert where it's a big old triangle. So like now it's under control. So anyway, but thank you, Mary Jo. That's lovely. Anna Marie, hey girl, this is not a pick a card thing. This is your weekly energy report and oracle card to support that energy. So you might want to watch the replay for the collective reading that I share on a weekly basis on Mondays from 11 to 11:30 Central Time in the US. And secondly, if you want to make an appointment with me, I don't do direct card readings. I do coaching sessions to support people manifesting. So those appointments are below if you want something that's more specific to your situation. Other than that, I love you. Ooh, Rebecca. Oh, hey, girl. I watched the replay. I showed up late. Hey, girl, how are you? I haven't heard from you I see your Facebook stuff, but I have not seen you or heard from you in forever. And Mary Jo, great card pull. Thanks, girlfriend. That's awesome. Yes, Rebecca, watch the replay. I think you'll enjoy it. And that's it for this week. And I will be sending out my newsletter. That's the other thing that's below. If you want to get my weekly newsletter, there's weekly messages. The replay of this video is in there, so you can always go back and find it. Any promos or new stuff goes out to the newsletter first, and sometimes only to the newsletter people. So if you are not on my list for all kinds of stuff, especially at Christmas time, because when I do seasons readings, because I will do card pulls, or rather card readings and intuitive card readings, usually every year at New Year's, and I keep asking Spirit if I should do Mercury retrograde ones. They keep saying just do the general ones, so I'm not putting. But if you are interested in those specific pop-up promos like that or pop-up activities like that, what happens is I send those out to my newsletter first, and first come, first serve. So before I even publicly send stuff out, like on Facebook or on here on YouTube, they go out to the newsletter group first. So if you are not signed up for that, you'll miss out. So make sure you sign up for that, because again, free tips and videos and all kinds of fun stuff and promos and first looks and all that business. So other than that, thank you for joining me. Watch the replay. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Thanks for commenting. Again, if you're on YouTube or even if you're on Facebook, go over to the YouTube Soul Coach Studio channel and subscribe, click the bell, and like the video so that YouTube knows to share it with other folks. Okay? Love you so much. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Have a great week, y'all.